How's it going, everybody? Welcome to the channel. This is Big Daddy Dave, and I hope that everybody is having a fantastic day so far. I am so glad to be here tonight. It's been a while since I've been on stream and being able to come out and hang out with everybody, so I am just so thrilled to be here. I see Jody out there in the chat. Jody, you're doing good. Glad to hear it. Crimea River, I see you out there too. How is it going? Hope everything is going good. Oh man, it has been one heck of a day. Just one of those kind of days where just very kind of interesting, and has left me a little bit reflective on certain events. I'll get into that more later, but what do I have in store for us today? Well, as we can see, we have a soybean contract that we're getting ready to work on. I have got a couple of hay bale contracts I've got to work on as well. So going to be kind of working on that in the background, getting prepared for the next episode. 23, I think? It's going good. It's really high. Oh my goodness, was it a scorcher today? It just felt like, whew. Let me come up with a really good analogy. So, where I'm at here in Florida, it felt like going into the sauna and staying in there for about 20-30 minutes. That kind of sticky, kind of blah kind of feeling that you get when you're in there, and then come back inside and it's just like not even the coldest of cold that your air conditioner can get your home. Is that bit of a relief? Yes, that's how hot it felt. Ooh, man, it was brutal. Oh man, so let's go ahead and we'll get this contract going. Like I said, it's just it's been one of those kind of days. Oh my goodness, 93. Whereabouts are you at there, Jody? Oh, 100 degrees? Wow. So yeah. That's that is brutal. Wow. Yeah, I know the Carolinas can get some heat. I mean, it's not as bad over on the coast, from what I understand. But and the same thing here in Florida happens too. But once you get a bit inland, it just gets really just stagnant, and the air really doesn't shift around too much. It's just, yeah, it gets to be a bit much. Georgia, that's right. Okay, I remember now. Yeah, I lived in Georgia for a couple of years, just north of Atlanta, there in Roswell. A really nice. I'll be honest with you, I really kind of missed Georgia when I lived there. It was a very pretty state. Oh my goodness. So if there's anybody else out there in the chat, go ahead and give yourself a shout out. Let me know that you're out there. Oh yeah, so you're right there, really towards the inland of the Carolinas there. So you're not getting any of that sea breeze to kind of help you out there. Oof. Yeah, and I know when I lived there in Roswell in Georgia, the summers got really brutally hot. Like, I was actually surprised that it got like more uncomfortable and hotter than like what I feel like it does here in Florida. Like here in Florida, it gets like really hot and sticky because where I'm at, I'm only, I think, like 20 some odd miles off the coast, and you get all that sea breeze, but then you get all that moisture that just lingers in the air and just really kind of makes it feel soupy. but it at bare minimum doesn't get as hot as like the inland part of the state where it's upwards of 95 to 98. I think it got up to like 92 around here. You want to move to Florida one day? What part are you looking to settle in? Yeah, I tell you what, it took me a little while to really kind of find my flow here in Florida and really kind of get adjusted to it. And I came from Michigan originally. I grew up there. I lived there for over like 20 some odd years, and for the longest time I was just ridiculously homesick. Would always want to go back to Michigan, get back there for, you know, all various types of reasons. You know, I still have family up there and all that stuff, but then something happened where it just all of a sudden clicked, and I'm like, you know what? I really love it here in Florida, and it's not even the weather. I'm not a huge fan of the heat. I miss having seasons. You know, I miss the snow and all that stuff. You know, I certainly don't miss like getting out and trudging around in the driveway and digging the driveway all out, and you know, making paths and all that stuff. But it's just one of those that you know, especially seeing like the fall colors, like what you see here, just the beautiful oranges and reds and yellows and all that stuff. It just left me longing. And I don't know, just a couple of years ago, just something clicked where I was like, you know what? They can keep Michigan. I'm kind of over that now, and I'm really kind of just really digging where I'm at here in Florida. You know, it's just one of those. Took a while, but it finally grew on me. But one thing I will say, if you're yes, it does have a beautiful fall. It's like North Carolina there is like that kind of nice region where you're still far enough south where you're going to get the nice kind of not super cold winters, but you're still going to see those kind of fluctuations in seasons, to where down here in Florida you get summertime and green and winter brown. There's no in between down here in Florida. So it's just one of those that you're either like in the middle of, you know, the jungle, just experiencing just the lush greenery, or just everything looks like it's just dead and ready to crumble at any moment. But yeah, no, it's just one of those, you know, just glad where I'm at now when everything's all weighed out, said and done. But oh, you know what? I almost forgot. Hey, I gotta give my shout outs. The channel members, the BDD's farmhands, Crimea River, you are still the tier 2 farmhand, and I want to thank you again so much for being able to, you know, be a farmhand, helping out the channel, and you know, just being there to help the channel grow. It's been you know, because of you and people like you that's allowing me to you know, continue to reinvest in the channel and do, you know, bigger and better things. And speaking of the memberships, that's right, you beat me to it. We got emojis now. So channel members have access to the emojis. We got 4 of them so far. As more members become available, we can expand out to have additional emojis and all that stuff. So I'm really hoping that one day we'll be able to expand that out. One new addition that we have here within the past week, as a matter of fact, members now have access to custom badges. Crimea River has an example right there next to their name. You can see the little brown tractor. What that is a uh, is an old, beaten up. Uh, oh goodness, I had the name off the top of my head, and now I'm blanking. Anyways, it's just a rusted out old tractor. And then as you're a member of the channel for a longer period of time, you get new badges all the way up to, I think it's 8 different stages of 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 length of time that you're a member. So it's the longer you're a member, the more, not more badges, but the better the badge you get, going all the way up to, of course, the Case Steiger. That is the pinnacle, the ultimate final badge that you can have. And yeah, it's yeah, I, you know what, when I saw that tractor, I absolutely had to have the artist just kind of use that as the template. When I saw it, I just immediately fell in love with it. And if it's not blatantly obvious by, you know, my game style and all that stuff, I love older tractors, and really just kind of older things in general. Cars, tractors, the whole 9 yards. It's just one of those, like, a lot of the new looking tractors, the new looking cars, and just all that stuff, they're nice, don't get me wrong, but there's nothing better than like a classic, like, muscle car, or just a classic car in general. You know, they were built to last, they were built tough. You know, you could get into an accident and still just keep on rolling the next day, kind of thing. And I mean, case in point, my grandmother had an old, I think it was a 70s or 80s Lincoln town car, maybe. Anyways, it was one of the old big body squared Lincolns, and she got into a massive accident long time ago in this car. And after they got her out of the car and all that stuff, they said the only thing that saved her, the only thing, was that big old Lincoln and all that metal that was in front of her. They said if that she was in one of the newer cars, there was no way she would have walked away from that. No way at all. So yeah, it was just one of those. And don't get me wrong, I know a lot of the new cars, they have a lot of safety features in them and can, you know, survive a whole lot, kind of thing. But it's one of those that, me personally, I want to know that I have, you know, something of substance, and not potentially just a quote-unquote feature between me and, you know, the ability of surviving the incident, kind of thing. So one of those, I don't know, just maybe I'm just kind of a old timer like that. Just, I don't know, just one of those, like, I've seen, like, the new cars get into an accident. Speaking of which, my wife and I, we got into a car accident a few months ago, and it was our main mode of travel. And it was just a little, like, what should have been kind of a fender bender. We got hit in the side. It was a nice little T-bone kind of accident, kind of thing. And the entire door, from the front corner panel all the way back to the rear wheel, was just completely just crushed, just absolutely crushed. And they ended up having to, you know, take off all the paneling and do all that, and they swapped everything out, kind of thing. And to this day, that car still doesn't, like, the doors don't close properly, just everything's just kind of a little. And this is all, work was done right there at the main dealership where we bought it, kind of thing. So it's just one of those that they don't make them like they used to. They now make them cheap and cost a fortune. 100% right. 100% right. You cannot get quality nowadays. And I'm convinced no matter how much you pay. Like, you look at some of the really fancy cars, the ones that really cost a good amount of money, like the 70, 80, 90, 100,000 and beyond. Like at that point, what you're buying is the name and the aesthetics, but you're not necessarily buying quality where it counts. You know, and yeah, if I'm spending, hundreds of $1,000s on a car, then I'm not necessarily concerned about, the longevity or the the usability of the vehicle. I'm more looking at it as a status symbol kind of thing. I get that, but it's one of those, like, even if you're getting a expensive practical car, those are like still not necessarily quality as much as they are you're just buying the status of them kind of thing, which is really kind of sad kind of thing. What I wish would happen, especially with cars, is if you're spending a little bit extra money, then you're getting like better motors, like longevity in motors, more reliable, like things like that. And just, I don't know, just at the end of the day, I think that there's a need for the ability to be able to not necessarily worry about status as much as it is to worry about like the more important things, like the additional safety features. That's an obvious, especially as a husband and a father kind of thing. I want to be able to make sure that the vehicle that I'm going to send my wife and child into is going to be, something that's going to be safe if they get into an accident kind of thing. And within the past couple of years, I've had now 2 accidents. Thankfully, both of them were not our fault. Like I said, the first one was a T-bone where it was actually it was funny, now I can laugh about it now. I couldn't laugh about it, and it was actually quite perturbed when it happened. But my wife at the time, she was 9 months pregnant, and we were driving along a kind of side street that was leading towards the store that we were heading to. And as we were driving there's an intersection, and it was a 2-way stop. And as we were passing through that intersection, a woman driving a Volvo was coming up at the direction of travel where the stop sign was. And we were going through the intersection where there was no stop sign. Well, she just ended up just blowing right through the stop sign, and just, that was the T-bone I was talking about. Well, she ended up telling the police officer when they showed up, well, my Volvo was supposed to recognize the stop sign and stop. That's what they told me at the dealership, or at least that's what she understood it to be. And the cop looked at her and it's like, I'm sorry, ma'am, but this isn't a Tesla. It doesn't do that. And she was adamant that the car was supposed to stop for her. And then he finally looked at her and said something along the lines of, well, ma'am, regardless of the features that your car may or may not have, you were in charge of making sure that the systems worked. You were the ultimate fail-safe, and you are inevitably responsible for this collision. So, yeah, that was really bad at the time. Like I said, my wife was 9 months pregnant, and we had gone through a lot to get our daughter. She was an IVF baby, or is an IVF baby, and a lot of struggles over the years and years and years to finally have her in our life, and to get to that point and then get into the accident. And again, it wasn't like it was a massive accident. It was low speeds, maybe 25, 30 miles an hour. But at the end of the day, it dawned on us, like, OMG, my pregnant wife is, just got into an accident. Is the baby okay? We started to panic, started freaking out, once it kind of dawned on us, and the shock kind of, like, alleviated itself, and we were able to kind of start thinking about things other than like, hey, there's this accident we just got involved in. So yeah, we ended up going to the hospital, and thankfully, everything was okay. Nothing wrong with the baby, and yeah, just it was kind of worrisome, and just I don't know. At the end of the day, and thankfully we're driving the same exact car as it was in that accident. It's the same exact car that we had in our most recent accident. That one there, that was a crazy one because we ended up. Well, my wife was driving there, and she and my daughter were heading out to, I think, meet some family, and they ended up driving past this McDonald's, and there's an intersection just beyond the McDonald's. Well, I guess my wife had turned on her turn signal, indicating that she was going to turn at the light, but the person didn't stop at the stop sign leading out of the McDonald's, and just slammed right into the side of her. And it was just, pandemonium from there, because my wife, she was going maybe 35 or so miles an hour, just beyond the entrance into the roadway that she was on. There was this little, not embankment, but just a little gully that had a drainage ditch with a concrete kind of barrier kind of thing. Not a barrier, but like a almost like a retaining wall to prevent any like major washout. And I guess in the ensuing panic, the person who pulled out of the McDonald's ended up hitting their gas while still turning hard to the right, and went driving the vehicle into that concrete embankment, that that washout area, and got themselves like wedged onto that. So it was just a complete disaster, and again, it ended up, wrecking the car and got everything all fixed up. But like I said, still to this day, it still doesn't have, like, the doors don't open properly. They open, they close, and there's, secure and safe, but there's a little wind noise from it now, and there's gaps and all that stuff. But thankfully, knock on wood, and all that, everyone's fine, and just minor inconveniences at the end of the day. Let's see. Catch up with the chat. They don't make them like we used to. Yes, exactly 100. Yes. Yeah. Thankfully, everybody was okay, and all the accidents we've had over the past little while have been, very minor. But that's the unfortunate part. Down here in Florida is there's so many people who have transplanted from other parts of the country that the driving style is completely unpredictable. And what I mean by that is, when I lived in Michigan, there was a particular style of people, or particular style of driving that was very easy to predict. You could kind of, anticipate how people were going to react to any given situation, because everyone kind of knew how each other was going to drive, kind of thing. It's kind of that driving style that was in that particular state. When I lived in Georgia, there was, again, another driving style, and it was radically different from what I grew up in with Michigan. And specifically where I was there in north of Atlanta, the people would just drive like none other. They would just floor it and do whatever they could. They would cut you off in a heartbeat, kind of thing. And again, it was just one of those you had to anticipate, get used to, and then you can understand, like, this is what's going to happen, be prepared for it, kind of thing. And a perfect example is you'd have people like approaching a off-ramp kind of thing, and as you're approaching the off-ramp, they would come up and just wait for even the smallest gap between you and the next car, and then they would just jam themselves right into that gap, kind of thing. So if you left a opening that was anything bigger than a piece of paper, anything anything thicker than that, you're going to have somebody inevitably just cut you off and dive in there, kind of thing. So you just kind of learn to adapt, kind of thing. But here in Florida, the driving is, a hodgepodge of people from all over the country, and all their various driving styles just kind of come here and mash into this cacophony of like ridiculousness. And it's completely unpredictable, it's completely like over the top. So it's one of those, I always tell people, hey, if you're looking to move to Florida, be prepared to see something about the driving that you most likely have never experienced ever in your life, because you're going to have people from New York that drive like New Yorkers. You're going to have people from Michigan who drive like Michiganders. You know, the Carolinians going to drive like Carolinians. You know, the whole 9 yards. It's just one of those things that, you know, there's such a mixture of different people that they're just going to bring whatever their style is, and it leads to pure chaos at times, especially when you get into the more populated areas like Miami and Orlando and all those big cities. Like it can get really, really overwhelming very quickly. Here in South Carolina, they love to cut you off on the highway. Yes, I remember experiencing that when I went there. I've driven through the state several times, and I went on vacation there a few times too. And yeah, it's definitely very similar to Georgia, in which they'll just kind of, you know, if you got even a little bit of space between you and the next vehicle, just boom, just dive right in there, and they have no regrets kind of thing. But again, it's that driving style that you can at least begin to predict, because everybody, or at least almost everybody, is driving in that similar fashion. So it's, you know, easy to kind of know what to expect. But yeah, so I had mentioned earlier I wanted to talk about something about well, it's happened to me a couple of times here lately, and I don't know why it seems like it's becoming more and more prevalent as time is going on. And maybe it's that I'm starting to reflect on things more as I'm getting older. As I'm getting older, I'm not only trying to be more self-reflective and making sure that I'm doing the right thing, that I'm, you know, that I'm trying to conduct myself and project myself in the best possible way that I can, but that I'm also observing how I'm kind of moving throughout life. And one thing I've been noticing here lately, and that I've been kind of reflecting on as of, you know, the past few weeks, is how other people are conducting themselves in the world and in society as a whole. And what I mean by that is how it just seems like as time is going on, the lack of common decency and manners are just going by the wayside. And in particular, what I'm referring to is I've had a couple of incidences here lately where I'll go to like the store, or I'll go to the gas station. The most recent one was the gas station, and I'm walking into the gas station and I see somebody who's either a few steps behind or whatever the case may be. So I will, you know, as a courtesy, hold the door open, you know, not to let it just slam into somebody's face. I personally think that, you know, it's not a big deal to hold the door open for anybody. You know, it's a few seconds out of my time, and it's just manners, you know, kind of thing. But it's happened to me a few times here lately where there's not even an acknowledgement of that kindness. You know, there's nothing to say that I have to do that I have to hold the door open to be kind or anything like that. And what had happened here recently at the gas station is I'd held the door open for somebody, and not even a thank you, not even a you know, passing glance of a appreciation kind of thing. And it just got me to thinking, like, why has manners just eroded so much in modern society that you can't even stop for 2 seconds to say thank you to somebody who's held the door open? Why can't you just have that level of appreciation that somebody went out of their way to do something kind for you? And it just seems weird to me that somebody would do something like that, to where not even just a thank you. Now, don't get me wrong. I'll kind of let you in on a little something from me. I am a bit hard of hearing. I'm almost 40 years old, and just throughout the years, it just my wife likes to say, that I have selective hearing, and I keep telling her, no, it's not selective hearing. It's that I if there's a lot of noise in a room, or if there's a lot of background stuff that's happening, I can't hear somebody necessarily talking to me, and I have to sit there and really focus, both on the mouth movement and the actual spoken words, and really kind of trying to focus on what I'm hearing to be able to make sure that I'm understanding everything that's being said. So there's always the possibility, I've always said this, that maybe I just didn't hear them. Maybe they were just soft spoken and didn't hear the thank you. But this wasn't the case. It was very quiet. There wasn't a lot of background noise or anything like that. And I was paying attention enough to where I would have heard something even at a low tone. So it was just one of those that it got me thinking about how just common decency and manners have just kind of eroded from society. And I don't know if that's a fault of, I don't want to necessarily say bad parenting, but just not instilling that as a value, something to be kind of chased anymore. Just being courteous, being kind to people. I don't know, just it got me to thinking, and it got me to think, if I saw my daughter do that, to where somebody was nice enough to hold the door open for her, and she didn't immediately say a thank you, how incredibly disappointed as a father I would be in my daughter. And that I would pull her aside and tell her, what you did was incredibly rude, and that you should, not only go and say thank you, but apologize for not thanking them in the first place, kind of thing. Like, I would be absolutely mortified if somebody did that for my daughter and she didn't show the appreciation, kind of thing. But I've also gotten the exact opposite reaction too. So I was actually, you know what? It's the same as at gas station. This happened a while ago, and there was somebody walking up behind me, but they weren't like directly behind me. They were actually still in the parking lot, like by the gas pump. So it was a fair distance between them and I. And I always look over my shoulder as I'm walking into places, so that, hey, if there's somebody behind me, and I acknowledge that they're there, and I don't just slam a door in somebody's face. Again, I try not to be openly rude to somebody, or even obliviously rude. And this person, like I said, was out in the middle of the parking lot. And they were walking in, but there was enough distance to where the door wasn't just going to slam in their face. It was going to be long since closed, before they even got into the door. But they had made their way inside, and I'm already, got 2 or 3 items in my hand. I'm getting ready to check out, kind of thing. I knew exactly what I wanted. I'm getting ready to go. And all of a sudden, they're starting to holler at me like, that was really rude. You should have kept the door open for me, and all this stuff. And it was like the complete opposite reaction of, well, now they're expecting like that I just sit there and wait for them, kind of thing. And that one just blew my mind. It's like, okay, I mean, it was weird. It was just weird. But having respect for others no longer exists. You know, I don't know if it doesn't exist, but it certainly is on life support. You know, because I've seen people, like, I've seen kindness. I've seen people, like, do things that, like, really instill and revitalize my faith in humanity. And I'll give you another example. I was at a drive-through with my wife, and I guess this is like a new trend or something like that. I don't necessarily understand it, but it seems nice. But the person in front of us had paid for our order, kind of thing, and they don't know us. They never met me or my wife or anything like that, and it was, I guess, one of those kind of pay it forward kind of things. And what was nice about it is it had kind of a downstream effect because they paid for our meal, and my wife and I had then like, oh wow, that was incredibly generous. That was very nice. So we ended up paying for the people behind us, and you know, who knows if that kept continuing down the line and just all that stuff. But it was just one of those kind of, you know, throwing a rock into a pond and the ripples kind of made their way out. You know, it was a very nice, sweet thing that happened, and I don't know, it was just one of those, like I said, I don't think that respect or manners are necessarily dead, but they're certainly on life support. Yes, yes. Darn if you do, darn if you don't. And that's it. And it's one of those that there's very few experiences in my life where it's going to prevent me from doing what I think is the right thing. So, you know, the person who was yelling at me for not holding the door open, I'm not going to now all of a sudden just change my way of thinking and no longer hold the door open for somebody if they're behind me. Or, I'm sorry, strike that and reverse it. The person who didn't thank me, I'm not going to just not hold the door open just because they didn't thank me, kind of thing. But, you know, in the time, or at the moment, I was thinking, you know, I almost want to go up to them and say, like, well, you're welcome, you know, kind of thing, and just kind of make it, like, obvious as to what I'm talking about. But then it's like, no, then I'm just being rude and almost a little petty kind of thing. So I just, you know, kind of, you know, let it roll off my back. But it's just, I don't know, one of those things that just got me to thinking about how people could just be rude, disrespectful, or whatever. It kind of builds off of what I was talking about several live streams ago, just how people just can be so uncaring to others, and almost don't acknowledge that people are just people, kind of thing, and that you should strive to be kind, but not, how do I want to say this? You should strive to be kind to people, but you also don't want to be kind to a fault. And what I mean by that is, you don't want to be so kind to people that people now will take that and take it to their advantage, kind of thing, and put you at a like, take advantage of you, kind of thing. That's what I'm trying to say. So I don't know. Like I said, there's a lot of things that are happening nowadays that just leave me to kind of sit back and think and kind of ponder, and and I don't know if what I've been doing here lately is, like, during work or anything like that, I'll typically have like a like a book just playing in the background kind of thing, so that I can listen to it and whatnot. And I've been reading a lot about like uh, psychology and just how kind of people are interacting with each other. And I took back in college, I took several psychology courses and just tried to understand how people kind of interact with each other, and how the kind of human experience allows people to do great goods and great evils. And I don't know, just when I'm reading these kind of philosophy, and when uh, I'm sorry, philosophy, psychology, and all these various different things that I can listen to throughout the day, because I'm sitting there and I'm just coding or writing reports or whatever. So just kind of muscle memory at that point. Um, I don't know, just leaves me very reflective on my personal situation, my life in general, and just the kind of way that others kind of go about it. So it's one of those that at the end of the day, I'm going to do my best to try and like raise my daughter to be kind and to be grateful. That's what it all kind of boils down to. Is I don't think people have enough gratuity in their life. They're not thankful to the things that they have and to what others bestow upon them, kind of thing. I don't know. It's one of those things that I think that's kind of works hand in hand, kind of. Yeah, I don't, like that kind of gratuity and gratefulness and thankfulness works hand in hand with the kind of rolling back and the eroding of manners and common decency and courtesy to others. I don't know. It's just one of those things that just got me thinking about, got me really thinking today about how, you know, life is and people are. So that's all I really wanted to say about it. Just something that happened, wanted to kind of, talk about it, see what people thought, and kind of go from there. And at the same time, being able to decompress and de-stress while playing the farming simulator. But speaking of which, I am really looking forward to the coming months here in this game. So this is pretty much the last month. November is pretty much the last month where you kind of get a good, steady, reliable contract source. And throughout the episodes, I'm setting myself up to work on that forest during this winter time. Last winter, couldn't do anything. Didn't have any extra land to work on, didn't have any contracts or anything like that, so I pretty much just simulated the winter time, and nothing really to do. But now I'm to the point where I've got a bit of money, I've got the equipment, and I'm thinking that it's going to be a really good thing to go ahead and start this forestry project during the winter time. And I haven't decided exactly what it is, other than wanting to build that road, as I've mentioned in the episodes, to the upper ridge to the lower valley. But I haven't decided what I'm going to do with the kind of product, the wood and the wood chips and all that stuff, that I will gain from that work. So it's one of those, I'm kind of kicking around different ideas as to what I could do. One other thing that I, have mentioned several times is doing these Let's Plays and these kind of episodic series. I want to be able to try and do new things. I don't necessarily want to, do the same thing over and over, because then it's just the same process but different map kind of thing. And I want to try and keep the episodes fresh and be able to bring something new, not only to keep the episodes fresh, but also be able to provide like a like, hey, this is something that potentially others might be able or want to do or could do, in their gameplay kind of thing. So it's one of those that it's always really cool to be able to find those kind of new exciting things to do. And it's very easy in this game to kind of fall into a habit, a kind of, well, this worked for me last time, so I'm going to do it again this time kind of thing, regardless of the map that you're on. And I'm not even talking about like myself or other YouTubers doing Let's Plays and stuff. I'm talking just the gameplay in general. It's very easy to kind of get into the zone kind of thing and, fall back on those familiars. I guess as is life. I mean, it's easy to kind of fall into the familiar and really not get out of that kind of, day in, day out kind of process that we all tend to fall into, because it's familiar, it's comfortable, and it works kind of thing. But it's one of those that when I'm doing the Let's Plays, I'm trying to come up with new things to do, and I just haven't decided what route I'm going to take advantage of with this winter's products. So I'm kind of got a couple of things that I'm bouncing around, seeing if it's going to be practical in the long run for the episode kind of thing. Because what I also don't want to have happen is I do something in an episode and then it's only for that episode kind of thing. I want to be able to kind of revisit and it come into play downstream or down the line kind of thing. So I mean, although I think that those kind of events do have their value, those kind of one-offs or whether it's a production point that you use kind of one time and then just kind of let it run out and it then doesn't really get to be used again or whatever, those do have a value. And what I mean is you're obviously going to make whatever money you make from them, and it can be a learning experience as to whether or not it was worth it using it on the particular map that you're on. But it's one of those as well that you're spending oftentimes, especially production points, a fair bit of money. So you want to make sure that the production points that you use are going to not only generate the value in the short term, but are going to be used consistently to maintain said value. That's why, like in this Let's Play, I've used the refinery to get the power. I've used the grain mill that requires the power. So I'm using these tools that kind of reinforce the other kind of thing. So I'm trying to figure out what it is I could do that might be able to tie into those, or even create a new branch of production that is going to be sustainable beyond what the immediate need is, which is to just survive the winter kind of thing. Let me go ahead and catch up with the chat. So nothing wrong with that. I was wondering if you had done that yet. Yeah, so just still kind of thinking it over and gonna figure it out from there. And then let's see, the field you are mowing now. I did that one today. I tell you what, this map is, I absolutely adore this map, and has been such a fun Let's Play. I've done, let me think, there was Lands of La Mancha, New Lands, Silver Run, Iowa Plains View, and this one. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. This is the 5th series I've done. And I think I've had more fun on this map than quite possibly any other map that I've done so far. And I think the reason that is one, the map is absolutely gorgeous, and it's really hard to not love the layout, love the looks. You know, there's just so much going on this map that just really kind of keeps your attention and really kind of keeps you motivated to keep at it, kind of thing. Um, but all those ones I mentioned before were kind of the very early versions of all the maps. So the first one, Lands of La Mancha, that was my very first series that I'd done. That was long before that whole map was basically revitalized and renewed and made into the map that it is today. And really, the farmyard was bare bones basic. It had a house, a garage. That's it. That's pretty much it on that whole farmyard. So everything that was on that farm by the end of the series is what I put on there. It's what, the work I did. But it took a lot of work to get there because Lands of La Mancha, you have various size fields, but the road network is very complicated. There's a lot of different ways to go about things, and the hills are so massive that it takes, especially if you have a fully loaded trailer, it takes forever to get up and down to be able to do the work. And then there was New Lands, and New Lands I had a ball on. Like, that one was really fun because of the features that were on there. But again, it was the very original version of it. So, oh dear. So there wasn't as many features as there is now, and man, do I wish that I would have caught that update and did the series after the update had taken place, because the new version of New Lands is just incredible. It's incredible. There's so much new stuff on there. There's the production points where all the citizens of the town all produce various byproducts and various byproducts that you can utilize throughout your endeavors on that map. You have the greenhouses that you can utilize. You have the various other crop types and the additional plant types from the greenhouses. There's just so much that was added after I had worked and did that series. Silver Run, I believe, was after New Lands, and I enjoyed Silver Run, but I generally have an issue with Giants maps, and what I mean by that is Giants maps, they're gorgeous, they're very nice, and they're laid out very well, as you would expect, the actual manufacturer of the game, their maps to be. But the problem that I have is, typically with a Giants map, there's so much of the area of the map that you can't do anything with. You can't buy them, you can't manipulate the land, you can't do anything with. And it's just, to me personally, frustrating not being able to have access to the entirety of the map. Now, if there's small areas that you can't access and can't do anything with, that's fine. But it's really frustrating when, a perfect example, the new map, the Horse Aggravation map, there's more area that you cannot buy than you can purchase. And that drives me personally just nuts. I can't stand that. Because there's just now so much of the map you can't do anything with, and you inevitably either have to take out a field or you have to utilize space that is already spoken for with other things in order to expand and to make the map something bigger than what it originally was, kind of thing, and to make it your own, kind of thing. Otherwise, you're just working the fields, and that's it. And with that, the game gets boring and repetitive, and you're just doing the same thing over and over. The great thing about this game, one of the great things about this game, is being able to make it your own, being able to do whatever it is your heart desires. That's the great thing about this, is that this game is so malleable to anybody's personal gaming style. And even if you got that moment where you're like, you know what, I want to try something new, I'm going to do grape fields, I'm going to do olives, I'm going to use the olive shaker kind of thing, you can kind of thing. So you don't have to necessarily do what's comfortable. You can do something that's completely out of the norm kind of thing, which is great. It is just so cool to be able to do that. And when those maps are out that don't allow you to change a majority of the map itself, then it's just kind of a frustration and a kind of a missed opportunity, in my opinion. Let's see, let's catch up with the chats. I do too. I'm still watching the Newlands episode. Yes, so that like I said, I really enjoyed that. And now that I'm on this map here, I realize just how much more. Like, at the time, I thought that was like my peak, my absolute, the most fun I've done during doing a series, and all that. But it was, right after that was the Silver Run, and I had fun, but it was less fun because of, like, what I'm mentioning here is the kind of that, and just a really heavy focus that Silver Run had on forestry. With me personally, I get tired of forestry very, very quickly. So it's one of those, I only have so much patience for it. But yeah, no, at the end of the day, it's just, this map is incredible, and I absolutely love it. I may download Newlands tomorrow to see what it's like. I tell you what, Crimea River, that map, you will have no regrets, in my opinion. And especially the new version. You because you're watching the series for Newlands, you'll see the drastic difference. So, case in point, your main farm, as you've seen as the series has progressed, just where it starts is it's just a field and a shed, and it's still like that on the newest version. But let me think. So your farm is kind of in the southern portion of the map. Towards the west of the farm, there's now a large pile of, it's essentially compost is what it is. It's called something different in that map, but it's essentially compost. And you have to use that compost to be able to create the taro, which is a kind of, not a fertilizer, it's almost, what's that stuff called that you use for like potted plants? The like True Green, the potted soil, but it's got all the nutrients and fertilizers and stuff that's all mixed into it, kind of thing. That's essentially what the taro is it's just that kind of same concept, that kind of potting soil mixture with everything that the plant needs. And you need to buy the land in order, well, you don't have to buy the land, if you want to get the forage mix, or the forage, oh goodness, what is that thing called? Forage pickup. If you want to get this, you can get this and pick it up and utilize it. It's okay. It's okay. But if you want to play the map legit, you have to buy the land, and then you have access to all that, and you can go from there. But it just, there's so much stuff that was added, and what's really funny. Yeah, and I saw the you just have to watch out for the train. Yes, this is true. But as the series progresses, I'll let you in on a little secret. The train became less of a factor. And what had happened is the train got stuck, and I guess what happens is the way the trains work as you kind of play the game is the game, or the train's location will save when your save file happens, and it'll just basically start from that point at 0 miles per hour. So what ends up happening is on that map the train follows a path, and it's, you know, going up hills, down hills, and the whole 9 yards. Well, I must have clicked the save button at some very specific point right when the train was starting to ascend a hill. Well, the train couldn't ascend the hill anymore because it wasn't getting the traction necessary because it started at 0 miles per hour. And once the game kicked back on the next time I loaded into the save, it's just sitting there spinning its wheels, and it can't figure out why it can't make its way up the hill. So it's just stuck. It was just stuck the entire rest of the series. And it was funny because you would have to really pay attention and really be careful because there's no crossing lights, there's nothing like that. So, you know, you're paying attention, and there was many close calls like you have seen, and there was even more close calls than what wasn't seen. So I you know, cut out a lot of the really kind of close calls, and I think that was before I was doing shorts. So it was one of those where I had actually had so many incidences where I actually did get clobbered by the train, but just didn't record it, or I didn't publish it, kind of thing. And I wish I was doing shorts, or at least that I was really into doing the shorts at that time, because I would have had probably 100 different shorts of me just getting completely clobbered by the train, you know, going by and doing all that. So it's one of those that at the end of the day, um, yeah, it's a really good map. I think you'll have a ton of fun on it, and if you like forestry, then it's kind of a win-win. But the really cool thing, like I was saying, is that yeah, there's a lot of forestry to do on that map, but there's so many things now built into that map that really kind of make it, you know, accessible. And now with all the mods and stuff that we have access to, there's cool little tips and tricks to be able to kind of quote unquote get around having to do the full-blown forestry aspect of things, and it's really cool. I was wondering why you're going slow over the tracks. Yes, and that's basically because there was no lights that indicate that there was a train coming, so you'd approach it very slowly, look both ways, make sure the train wasn't coming. And even then, there was certain parts of the map where am I taking this? There were certain parts of the map where the train would come around a corner kind of thing, and oh, it's going to the cereals. Okay, well, let's get this all turned around. But it was one of those where you'd come around the corner and the train would all of a sudden just be there, and it didn't matter how well you looked unless you were like looking over the far shoulder kind of thing. And I would constantly misjudge the distance between the trains. Like, oh, I can make this. Nope, nope, not even close, not even close. Like forestry to a point, and you know what? I'm kind of the same way. I like it to a point, but eventually it gets to that point to where it's like, you know what? I gotta do something else, and I think it was because I did New Lands and immediately followed it up with Silver Run, and it was basically Silver Run had just released and all that. I was just so burned out of the forestry aspect that yeah, it just it was a bit much. Ryan, how's it going? Thanks for joining us. But But yeah, at the end of the day, check it out. I mean, Newlands, it's a great map, has tons of features packed into it. The newest version of it, and yeah, it's just one of those that I really appreciate a map maker when they go beyond the kind of initial stages of the game. And what I mean by that is they're using models for the productions that aren't base game, that they're using decorations to kind of liven up the surroundings and the production points or the sell points kind of thing. They don't just kind of plunk things down. It's like, what, that's good enough kind of thing. I really appreciate that. But I have heard a lot of people make the argument too, and I do appreciate this very much. The argument of that they like those maps where there's kind of the bare necessity for the production point, because then it allows them to add and subtract and do whatever they want to do to those areas, to those sell points, to those production points. And I totally get it, and I totally appreciate that. I think my problem personally is I'm not a terribly creative person, and what I mean by that is, like, I'm not very visually attuned to what is going to be aesthetically pleasing, and oftentimes I have to put very great amount of thought into, okay, well, I'm going to have the building here and it's going to be at this degree, and then my issue is I can't think the several steps beyond what I'm working on in that immediate step without, like I said, like really putting the forethought into it, to be able to make a kind of both functional and a very nice looking plot kind of thing. So when there's like the vacant parcels of land where there's like a placeable area or a buildable area kind of thing, I don't necessarily always go after them, unless I have to, if I need like the land to be able to put something down kind of thing. Because what inevitably happens is that I don't feel like it looks as good as I want it to. So it's just one of those that kind of, give and take kind of thing. But I think that Newlands, like I was mentioning, it has all those kind of features where there's so much additional detail that doesn't necessarily didn't make me want to be like, okay, well, I have to build it up in more ways than just placing down the production points or the sell points or things like that. Let's see. Oops. So Ryan, I'm in the USA. I'm in Florida as a. So yeah, that's why I'm streaming rather late over here. It's got to be pretty early in the morning for you. Let's see. Oh, Crummy River, I appreciate that. I certainly don't feel creative, especially, well, I think my big thing is I have a lot of creative friends, like people who are like genuine artists, and one in particular, she is so incredibly creative. Like, she's a painter, a drawer, like pretty much anything that is artistic in nature she can do, photography and just all that stuff. And where I tend to really strive, 29,000, that means I can keep 2,900, so it will try and cut it off at 2,900. Where I really kind of strive is, when it comes to creativity, is like oh dear is I do a bit of woodworking. Oh, hey, I went a little overboard there. That was really fast. That really dumped fast. Holy cow. Where can I take this to now? Can this go in the refinery? I'm pretty sure it can. Oh, I could do soybean flour. You know what? That's what I'll do is we'll make some soybean flour. But I do a bit of woodworking, and I make like tables and things like that. And uh, I've actually made a kind of entertainment table for my house, and and personally I love it. My wife loves it, and my big thing is I can kind of look at something and be able to, kind of piece it together using something that I've seen. So what I'll do is I'll typically go on to like Etsy, or not Etsy, Pinterest or something like that, and I will see a design, or my wife will see a design. Yeah, actually, case in point, uh, I have a sister-in-law who's getting married here in the coming months, and they've asked me to make the kind of table decorations, because they're doing it kind of a country wedding where they're getting married in like a barn, and it's supposed to be like really like fancy barn or something. Um, but at the reception thing, she wants me to make these kind of designer centerpieces. That's the word I'm looking for. And she showed them to me, and they're pretty straightforward. It's not going to be any big deal, but without the kind of visual of what it is I'm creating, I'm not really that good at, just kind of on the fly or whatnot to be able to make something and make it look aesthetically pleasing. Let's see. Do 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 do. You always do UK maps. You know what? I could. Wow, 4 in the morning. Are you just getting up, or are you? Are you? Have you been up? Kind of thing. And you know what? I'm actually very curious about that too, Ryan. What is your favorite UK map? Let's see. So I'm just gonna go ahead and deliver this. 2000. So if I remember right, I saw like 30 output. And that's the other thing too, is I need to figure out what I can do as kind of a downstream of this uh, flower factory. And I know that there's a uh, bakery on like on this map, and I think it's a modified bakery as well, that has like other inputs. So I might need to consider doing that, so I can kind of do something with all this flour and whatnot, and that'll leave me with all this kind of pig food and chaff that I have to worry about instead of pig food, chaff, and flour. Because all the stones are already getting sent over to the crusher. Let's see, that's all the diesel, this electricity. So we want that one. Perfect. So for every 16 soybeans making, so that's almost doubling the product. So I'll get about 4,000. No, I'm not doing the math right. So if I have 1,900, let's do a bit of math. 1,900 was roughly what I put in. Divide that by 16. That's 118. And then pretty much double that. So almost 230. Is that right? No, 118. Is it 118 then times? You know what? It's 11 o'clock at night, and math is hard. Normally I'm really good at math, but it's late. Oh my goodness. Any UK map? Ryan, have you checked out the new? It was the Irish map. Brand new, just got released. Has all the new animals, and I've made a couple of map tours and map update, not map updates, but additional informations. Why can I not think of it? Oh man, that's incredibly frustrating. It was the not Galgenberg, not Balam Road, Bally Spring. Bally Spring. Have you checked out that map yet? Because that one, whew, that one is a slice of amazing. Like I'm incredibly impressed with that map. Just all the additional. What am I doing? All the additional features on that map that are available for us, for everyone, but specifically for us console players. It's just incredible the amount of stuff that's on there. The goats, the ducklings, the babies, just everything in general. Just such an amazing map. Now, I know there's a couple of flaws with it at the moment. I think that if you use a modified shed, actually, it's not even I think, 'cause I know, you use a modified shed, then you're not going to have the visual representation of your animals. If so you have to use all the Bally Spring mods that come with the map. Um, I tell you what, if you haven't seen anything on it yet, like, go check it out, because it's just incredible. Yes. Yeah, I started to watch the map tour after I had recorded mine, because what I try to do is, when a new map comes out, I try not to look at other people's work. So so I'm not influenced by what it is they're saying. I want to have that kind of, original, kind of through fresh eyes kind of thing. But then at the end, I can sit there and give kind of my honest, results and reflections on the map. That's why I also, kind of grade each map that I come across, is so, it's more my opinion and not kind of an aggregation of other people's opinions, kind of thing. But it's I've also noticed that on occasion that it has burned me, uh, doing a map tour without looking at somebody else's, because I'll miss something, and which is why I did the additional information for Bally Springs. Is I just so happened to watch Mr. Seeley P do his progression for the animals and all that stuff, and he had discussed being able to, do the fencing and all that stuff. So I wanted to bring that to my audience, because I know a lot of my audience, I'm sure, checks out Mr. Seeley P and other YouTubers and whatnot. But it's one of those that, maybe not everyone had seen that up until that point. So I wanted to make sure that I put that out there as well. But yeah, Mr. Seeley P, I had started watching it afterwards, after I had recorded mine, and wow, it was just so much fun just watching how giddy that he gets. It's funny, because it's not often that you see him, like, really kind of, like, really get into, like, something he's doing, like, where he's, like, really, like, into what it is that he's doing, like, really kind of, like, giddy and excited and happy kind of thing. So when you get to see him do that, it's very entertaining, and it's, to a small degree, it's very, not even a small degree, it's very infectious. uh, when you see him, like, really kind of, I don't want to put it as like he's breaking out of his shell, but he's kind of has that kind of mild tone, very much kind of reserved. I might be a good way of putting it, and it's really nice to see when he's, like, really ecstatic and really enthusiastic about what it is he's showing. Those are some of his best works that he puts on YouTube, is when he's, like, really energetic and he's really excited to talk about something, because that's like the most energy you get to see from him. Yes, DJ Goham. DJ, he's on a whole nother level. Oh my goodness. DJ Goham, he is. I wish I had a quarter of the energy that that man has. Holy smokes. It's like. So a long, long time ago, I was. A long time ago, I was talking with somebody, and they were really excited about something. I cannot remember for the life of me what. This is just such a long time ago. And he had, and I know he got it from a movie, and I can't remember the movie off the top of my head, but he had used this line, and the way that they had said it, he's like, I'm just so excited about this. I'm so excited. He's like, I'm like a lab rat on amphetamines. And it's like, I'm just so excited. And he's just super high energy and just really just beaming from ear to ear kind of thing. And that's how I see DJ Goham is he's just one of those kind of people who's just so incredibly high energy that, like I said, I wish that I'd even had like a tenth of the amount of like passion and charisma and just that energy that he has. Like, I wish that I could just summon something like that, because wow, he is just such high energy and so entertaining to watch. Let's see, can't keep up how he talks. Is that DJ, or is that I presume you mean DJ, and just how like high energy he is. Yes, when him and Farmer Cop get together is absolutely hilarious. Yeah, because Farmer Cop, he's kind of, in my opinion, kind of DJ's opposite. He can get like very energetic and whatnot, but it takes a little bit more to kind of coax him out of the shell kind of thing, to where he's kind of has that tone about him where and maybe it's that kind of officer tone that he gets, that where he's very much kind of, how do I want to say it, I don't know. I guess just like when you compare the two, like the energy levels, they just do not match up. But then once them two get together, like you could see how, being in DJ's presence, I could see just how his energy could draw out energy from other people around him and the people who interact with him. I could see that just without a shadow of a doubt, kind of thing. And I feel like that when he gets together with anybody, I can see that just kind of coming out. I saw him do a collaboration with another streamer, and I had no idea who they were at the time, but um, this guy was just kind of popping out at random in the background of DJ's videos, especially at the end of the videos, especially like the Farm Sim news segments. He would just kind of pop out randomly behind DJ and just say or do something. And yeah, it was just absolutely hilarious seeing them two. Oh dear, wiggle bottom, stop it, stop it. Look at the front, not the rear. Uh, yeah, night and day difference. Absolutely. That's it exactly. But yeah, it's just. But you know what? It's one of those, like with DJ, you can see like all the value that he brings to the farming simulator space and whatnot is a direct result of the energy that he can just kind of summon at will, kind of thing. Like it's a direct result of that, in my opinion. And yeah, it makes his videos just fun and entertaining, and like really kind of like, especially like his news segments, something that should be just kind of straightforward, not necessarily mundane, but just kind of delivered in just kind of a kind of orator kind of way, is really kind of delivered with this like almost flamboyancy and passion that you don't see in a lot of people. And it's incredibly entertaining and so much fun to see. And now that I've shilled enough for DJ and Mr. Sealy P and all them, now everyone's gonna go start watching them and leave this channel. It's like, we don't need Big Daddy Dave. the DJ's enough to keep us entertained for a while. Oh goodness. I just got a wiggle bottom tractor. It's comical watching me use it. Oh man. It's funny, like I decided very early on in this series that I specifically wanted to use the articulated tractors, the wiggle bottom tractors, and it was one of those. I knew it was going to be a struggle at times. I knew because I have a very, very bad habit of staring at the rear of the tractor, and then what inevitably happens, I can demonstrate it just real quick. If I'm staring at the back of the tractor and something like this, right? I think that I still need to turn if I need to be straight with the row kind of thing. So I'm staring at the rear of the tractor and thinking, okay, well, I still need to turn, and then all of a sudden I've gone over to this way, and I'm like, whoa, wait a minute, and now the tractor's not straight, and I have to sit there and overcorrect, and it's just, I've got to remember to stare at the front. Now, if I go into the first person view or whatnot, then I don't have anywhere near the issues that I do in third person. Third person is just no holds bar of silliness when it comes to me driving these things, because I'm sitting there just, again, staring at the rear of the tractor instead of staring where I need to look, which is at the front of the tractor. And yeah, it just, and a lot of that is because I'm so used to driving the normal tractor, the ones where they just steer in the front and all that stuff, and I don't have to necessarily worry about where the tractor has been as much as where it's going, kind of thing, because it's all just one solid body. But no, like I said, I made the very conscious decision very early on that I wanted these kind of tractors. One, because I wanted to, get used to them, and I wanted to like really kind of put them in the series kind of thing. And it just so happened to kind of work out to where, like, and it certainly wasn't on purpose, the Case family farm that I've developed here. Like, I did not buy Case equipment to do this all on purpose kind of thing. It just so happened that this particular tractor became on sale, so wanted to get this one. I could get it for really cheap, and 600 horsepower tractor. I'm going to take advantage of that, and really, who wouldn't? And I think I purchased this for like 40 grand at the time. So it's one of those, yeah, it's got 29 hours on it currently and whatnot, but at the same time, it's like, meh. 29 hours, but I've got 600 horsepower. I've got two 600 horsepower tractors now, and it's just one of those that, yeah. And it also provides, good entertainment, seeing me just kind of, slithering around. And look, I mean, look at the entertainment it's brought to the channel. I mean, we created a whole new, like, term around this particular style of tractor, the wiggle bottom tractor, kind of thing. And it has led to creating the emojis, and it's led to, like, all this, really cool stuff that I would have never have thought would have happened in a million years. To have created this channel, and to it has gotten to where it's gotten now, kind of thing. I never expected, having almost 600 subscribers, having the memberships, and things like that. And as I always say, every 100 subscribers, I'm grateful for every single one of my subscribers, and grateful for everything that, every gift that has been bestowed upon me, for this channel, in my life, all that stuff. So, it's just really cool to kind of see just this how things have progressed and how things have moved along up until this point. And it's just, so much fun to be able to see, all this stuff, and to see the entertainment and progression that has been made up until this point. All right, this is all done. Let's fold this up, turn that off, fold that up. Well, I'm not up to 600 subs just yet. I think last I checked, I was up to 597. And that was earlier today. So we're getting there. I'm hoping to be able to breach 600 before the end of the month, kind of thing. And that will kind of continue the projection I've been on here lately, where I'm getting about 100 subscribers a month so far. So it's just one of those that, like I said, I'm super grateful to every single person, and I hope that what I'm doing is, bringing entertainment, bringing value to people's lives, and it just, like I said, being able to interact with everybody here. There was Jody here that was earlier. There's Crimey River and Ryan. I'm just so incredibly grateful that I have the opportunity to be able to just kind of hang out with everybody, to share laughs and share stories. Maybe even once in a while get a little philosophical with everybody, and just kind of talk a little bit deeper about certain things, like we were doing earlier with the holding the door open and the kind of degradation of manners. Just one of those kind of, like I said, it's just incredible, to be able to be in the position that I am in, and meeting such great people along the way, kind of thing. Which is also why I said earlier that I don't think that manners are necessarily dead, but there's manners or kindness or anything like that. I don't think they're dead, but they're certainly on life support. Is that the people in the room right now are perfect evidence of those things not being dead. It's one of those where I can, look to the chat and see just very nice, kind, genuine people, and just looking to just have fun and be entertained. And I love it. Just absolutely love it. Oh, man. If DJ and I worked together on the same map, I would just be in complete shock and awe. I'll be perfectly honest, because it's one of those that I have a very deep respect for, like DJ Goham and for Mr. Sealy P, because like I said, they are direct influences on me starting this channel and to do the work that I've done up to this point with this channel. So to be able to kind of share the stage with them would be just, I don't want to go as far as to say like a dream come true, but it'd be one of those that would just be, I think it'd be a whole lot of fun. And there's those occasional episodes where I've worked with JP, And what's funny is those are some of the episodes where I get some of the nicest and most hilarious feedback in the comments. And what I mean by that is like, oh, this is such a fun episode. It was so funny to see you two work together, and kind of thing. And I could only imagine that something like that, I would hope, um, would occur with that kind of collaboration. And don't get me wrong, it's one of those, like, if that were to happen, I would be so incredibly grateful. But at the same time, it's one of those that if it happens, it happens. I would be grateful, but kind of try and just keep my nose to the grindstone and just put in the effort necessary to just continue to build this platform, you know just worry about my own thing. Is essentially what I'm getting at. It is, it would be great to be able to collaborate with some of these people, but at the same time, I'm kind of the small fish in a big pond kind of thing. So let's see. Well, thank you, Crimea River. I appreciate that. I really do. Yeah, like I said, it's one of those that when I decided to create this channel and to start doing YouTube and whatnot, I did it with the kind of the mindset of, you know what, I'm just gonna do this to kind of have some fun and to just I'm already playing the game as it is, and all I'm doing is kind of doing a little bit extra by hitting the record button and either coming up with a story or doing this, that, and the other. And where I was then versus where I am now, um and meeting everybody that I've met along the way really just motivates me to, like, really, and I think I've said this a few times, but really motivates me to kind of, buckle down and to make sure that I'm doing everything I possibly can to bring the most value and the most entertainment to people. Because when I like I said, when I started, I was kind of just doing this as a means of, you know what, I want to do this because I think I could bring, some entertainment to people and to be able to, you know, just kind of, oh, see, there we go. There's the wiggle bottom at work right there. I'm staring at the back end and not the front end. But to kind of just put something out there, and if people thought it was cool, then hey, it's cool, and they could subscribe. But if they didn't, they didn't. And I never expected to be almost 600 subscribers in, and I started this in September. So that's we're in almost August now. So I mean, wow, almost a year. And in that year, have almost 600 subscribers, and like I said, I never expected it. Never expected to be where I am now to where I first started. And yeah, it's just, I'm so glad that I've been able to meet everybody, yourselves included, along the way. It is just, you know, just an absolute pleasure to be able to hang out, interact, and to bring something that people find of value, that they find entertaining, and you know it's yeah, and at the same time it's incredibly humbling. That's something that I don't think I've really kind of mentioned enough, is just how from where I started, like I had mentioned before, with just the channel and whatnot, to where I'm at now, it just made me realize just how kind of lucky I am, and how do I want to put this? How lucky I am, and how sorry, I'm trying to make sure I formulate this sentence in like the proper way that I want to say it. So this being a humbling experience, the reason that it's humbling to me is because, you know, meeting, everybody that I've met up to this point, it has, like I said, it has made me, realize just how, you know, well, like we were discussing earlier with how rude or how, you know, ill-mannered people can be. Um, it's places like this and people like yourselves that make it to where it's, kind of reinvigorates the that kind of passion and drive in people, kind of thing. So it's kind of, humbling in that regard, because it is a force that I didn't know that was out there, kind of thing, and makes one feel small, I guess. And what I mean by that is, you have such a huge machine in like YouTube and all that kind of can bridge the gap that is the world, kind of thing, that allows people from all over, like Ryan, they're in the UK right now, and we're sitting here, it's 4 in the morning their time, well, almost 5 now, and in my local time it's almost midnight, kind of thing. This has really kind of, you know opened me up to a world that I never had access to before. I've spoken to people in Poland, where I've had to literally rely on like Google Translate to be able to even understand what they're saying. Without Google Translate, I would have never have known uh, what was being relayed to me. Um, spoken to I've spoken to people from all over the planet, and I've never done that before. And that's the experience that I'm talking about. That's really kind of made me feel humble and small, and kind of, just made me kind of realize just the kind of uh, the size and the kind of scope of, everything that's kind of going on in the world, kind of thing. So I don't know, it's kind of hard to put what I'm trying to say into words, or at least to give it the only do these 2 rows, to kind of put it into the words that I want to put it in. Like it's, I don't know, one of those that's kind of, I know what it is I want to say, but I don't know how it is I want to say it. If that makes sense. Anyways. Oh, goodness. I tell you what, I really love this combination. This trailed windrower and baler, makes such quick work. Such quick work. Don't forget England make USA. How to speak English? Yes, yes. Oh yeah, trust me. I'm very well aware that the United States owes a lot of things to England and to uh, the kind of whole Western well, a lot of the things that America is a direct result of its interactions with England and where we are today, kind of thing. So it's certainly one of those that that does not elude me. All right, we got two more rows. We'll be able to finish this in one pass. I'll go pick up my truck and trailer and be good to go. And then we'll be able to collect on those contracts. And I'm thinking, so the tentative schedule as it sits right now, I think we have the live stream tonight, working on that. More than likely, this will be the last live stream before the next episode is recorded. So we'll have episode 23 that takes part after this. And from there, oops, turn that off, fold that up. There we go. And from there, go ahead and start kind of setting our sights towards the winter. That's kind of what I think is going to be the next kind of progression for the episodes and for the kind of upcoming schedule. Let's see. I see you'll get 24 bales off that field. Off of 85? Yeah, it's quite possible. You know what? I had the bale counter going right there, and I almost never pay attention to it. I wish I was better about remembering to reset the cycles on this so I could, keep an active tally. But you know what? It kind of leaves a good guessing game to figure out what we think is going to be off of each field. We'll see. What time UK? So let's see. It is, what is it? It is Friday the 28th. It's almost the 29th here in the US where I'm at, because it's just about midnight. So my guess is tomorrow night I will record episode 23 and kind of get where I need to go there. And the next time I will live stream will be let's see, if I record tomorrow, that's the 29th, that'll be, oh, you know what? I don't think I discussed this. I'll show that off in just a second because it just dawned on me. If I record tomorrow, I typically try to leave at least one full day of the episode dropping and releasing before I do a live stream, because what I don't necessarily want to have happen is I drop an episode and then a few hours later live stream, which is typically the live streams are the kind of in-between content that occurs immediately after each episode. So here you're seeing me kind of pick up the contracts and stuff just after episode 22 kind of thing, and then the kind of prelude into 23. Where's my truck? There's my truck over here. So more than likely the episode will be recorded tomorrow. It'll be released to the entirety of the channel. Well, it'll be released to members because members get early access either tomorrow night or Sunday morning. And then the rest of the channel... Whoops. Help if I picked up my bale trailer. It would be released to the rest of the channel Sunday around 5 p.m. Eastern. So if it is almost 5 o'clock your time, that means that you're 5 hours ahead of us. Be about, what, 10 o'clock UK time? 10 p.m.? Is that right? Yeah, I think that's right. And then be back again live streaming, depending on map releases, because that's been a killer here lately. Is the and the reason why I haven't been streaming or doing the episodics is because of the map releases. There seemed like a ton of maps that got released this week. But yeah, pending any map tours, then most likely be recording Monday, or live streaming Monday night is a tentative guess. Oh, it's already engaged. There we go. So if you don't recognize this trailer setup, there's a good reason behind that. This trailer became available as a used item. So I ended up purchasing after episode 22. Was it 22? Yeah, because it was 22 and I'm getting ready to record 23. So yeah, this became, available as a used item. So I ended up purchasing it off screen to be able to start utilizing it. But this should hold significantly more than what my old trailer held. And I'm actually using the kind of dolly system to be able to continue to use it with this truck. 'Cause this truck has more than enough power to be able to tow the full-size semi-trailers. It's just, because this is a bigger trailer, now I can hold more bales. So I was pretty ecstatic when I saw this come up. Let's see. So off of this first one, 84, we've got 27 bales. So that's not bad for this size here. Now let's go ahead. All of these are all going to the animal dealer. That was right? Yeah, animal dealer. Perfect. So 27 off the first field. Let's see what we get off the second field when we drop these off. So far the first guess here is 24. Ryan, do you have a guess as to how many bales we got off of the next field? We'll get a little Price is Right going over here. Do your best to get as close as you can without going over. Whoa. This trailer just really wants to slide all over the place. Alright, 32. Okay, nice. So we'll take a quick tally once we get back. I tell you what, that is... I think one of the most undervalued things on any map is that kind of outer periphery picture, that kind of background landscaping. I think that that is such a huge, huge part of any given map. And I've seen those kind of outer peripheries just completely destroy a map, in my opinion. Good example of that. There was a map developed, I believe, is by Cavalier Roy. And everything about the map I absolutely adored. I just loved so much about it, and I'm trying to think of which one it was that this one was. Oh goodness, I wish I could remember what it was, because to me it was a fantastic map. There was so much going for it, but then I got to the kind of outer periphery of it, and the whole map was just encompassed by a train system. And the train itself, when you're riding on it, was right off in the middle of or not off in the middle, but it was right at the very edge of the map, so you had a clear view as to what the outer border looked like. And just the map itself was, I'm sorry, the outer periphery itself was just so, in my opinion, just so poorly done that it just killed the entire map for me. And I wish I could remember which map it was. Oh man. Yeah, I just can't remember. But what really ruined it for me is you got onto the train and you're making your way around, and in this particular map the train was just vital to the map. You'd have to use it, you'd have to be able to hop in it, drive it around, and go to place. There was no avoiding the train. And as you're kind of making your way around, there was the map itself, but then it was like a sheer drop. And it was almost like the background image was like miles below the map itself. So like from a distance it looked okay, because you could see like the mountaintops, but it wasn't like hugely involved kind of thing. Like if you looked at the distance here, you would see just like normal mountaintops like you see back here. But you got up to the edge of the screen, or the edge of the map, like on the train, and it was like, it looked like you could just see like straight down and just see everything that was there. And it would just, for me, really just took out the immersion factor. And because the train was so integral to that specific map, just made it to where I couldn't even bring myself to like play on it. And don't get me wrong, I gave it a really high rating. I thought it was a great map, but that was just one of the features on that map that just really took it out of me. That really just kind of took the wind out of my sail. But you look around on this one, and you look off the map edge, and you just see how it just looks like it flows, and just the outer periphery just belongs on here. Like, yeah, you get that kind of drop-off feeling, but it almost looks like it's supposed to be there. It looks natural. Like a cliff face, almost. Yorkshire, Dale should make map. Yes, indeed. What did I... Sorry, I'm confused as to the Yorkshire. Alright, here we go. So we've got 32 from Ryan, and we got 24 from Crimea River. So let's see what we got. So pick up the first one here, and just start making our way around. That's the only difficult thing about these hay bales is that they blend in so well. I cannot tell you the number of times I've gone around a map and just all of a sudden just found a random hay bale or a random just, well, yeah, typically hay bale because it just tends to blend in a little bit better with the cut grass. But the number of times where I've just found a random bale just out in the middle of nowhere. There we go. Make one more pass and just make sure. It looks like Crimea River 25. You guessed 24, so the price is right. Yes, and Ryan, 100%, 100% right. This particular border just makes it look like a real place. It makes it look more immersive, and yeah, just absolutely love it. Just, but like I said, there's maps where, like, if you're looking at it from a distance, it looks fine, kind of thing. But the moment you get right on top of it, it just looks completely unnatural. It just doesn't look like it belongs. And this one was also very pronounced. The one was talking about earlier by Cavalier Roy, because a good portion of the outer periphery was fine when you got up to it, like when you were next to the town, because it was basically a river or a lake. It looked like a big body of water, and that was fine. But then once you got to one of the map edges, like the corner, all of a sudden the water just disappeared, and all of a sudden you were then left with that sheer drop and nothing else besides the kind of floor of the map kind of thing. It's kind of hard to describe, but like it was just this huge drop, and it wasn't like, you know, like how this one looks, where there's a cliff and it looks like it's leading down to a river, and it just seems natural. Like that step down actually looks like it's supposed to be there. This one, it was just a giant just drop off, and you could see almost like if you got right up next to it and you turn the camera like so and you looked underneath, you could actually see underneath the map kind of thing. It was just very off-putting and very, very weird kind of thing. And with that train being so vital to the map, you know, there was no way that you were not going to see it. There we go. Ta-da! Alright, so now let's go ahead and boop, boop, boop. There we go. So made a pretty penny off of that. Let's so made over 107,000 on contract bales. That's not bad. 65,000 in contracts alone. So yeah, I think I'm in a pretty good position now for the winter time. $240,000 plus whatever product I have over at the grain mill. Which, speaking of which, that should be probably done by now. Oh yeah, look at that, all done. 52,000 liters of flour, 52,000 liters of chaff. See, that's going to be something I'll have to address in upcoming episodes, is doing something with the flour here. I have now the two separate sources of pig food and, well, not chaff, but the other one does compost. So I'm gonna have to figure out something, to do with that flour, and I'm gonna have to figure out a process to get that chaff over to the farm in kind of a more streamlined manner, because right now it spawns all the boxes, and you can I found out that you can actually load with the trigger click, the like left thumbstick. You can actually click on that and load into a trailer. Then you can kind of dump it. You don't actually need like a telehandler or a front end loader like I was doing in previous episodes, which I assumed that was, that was necessary, kind of thing. And I had reached that assumption because of a previous map that I had done, with that kind of same pig food bin kind of. Whoa! Oh dear! Oh dear! Oh dear! Monster truck rally. Oh my goodness. Yes, the mower and the quick baler just does such a fantastic job and really helps to make the mowing experience just that much better. Yeah, like before this baler came out, I would almost exclusively use square balers. Like the round baler, like, just was such a hassle to use. But now this has the bale end turner, so it lays them all flat on the ground, so I don't have to worry about them running away. It's it has the heightened speed and all that stuff, and they have the super quick one too, where I can where you can like really get moving around and not have to worry about realism whatsoever, really. Again, right right up DJ Goham's alley there. Kind of speaking of him, that's also what I find very funny about DJ Goham, is just how, like, over the top with the mods he can get. There was one episode, I forget what map he was on. I think it was this back in FS19, but he had done a map. I think it might have been Eureka Farms, maybe. Where he had this forage wagon, and the forage wagon had like a mile-long reach on pickup and like a several million liter capacity. Like, it was just insanity. And just watching him just kind of go through it like 40 miles an hour and picking up all this grass, like a football field away, it seemed like. It was just absolutely hilarious. So now we're just going to tuck all this away. One thing, I don't know if you heard that in the background, but one thing I have absolutely loved about Giants when they added the new in the build mode and being able to toggle, like, we'll use this example, being able to toggle that ability to place things wherever you want, the free mode, is this right here. These kind of, the RTK station and the weather stations, I don't necessarily like to put them dotted around the farm, so I love just to kind of put them up here on the roofs, to where them being antenna equipment, stuff like that, just makes more sense to me to have them out of the way. But yeah, that addition I just think is just such a fantastic thing. Why did I turn that off? Oh wow, it is officially 12 o'clock here, so I think that this will be a good place to kind of end it for this live stream. I want to thank everybody who showed up. and participated in this. Thank you, Ryan. Thank you, Crimea River. Thank you, Jody. Thank you, everybody who'd stopped by and said hi. Uh, Again, just have so much fun on these live streams, being able to hang out, interact with everybody, and just being able to just kick back and have some fun. You know, whether it's just having the back and forth, the Price is Right bail counters, or even getting into kind of the more serious discussions, with the kind of eroding of 5:10 in the morning. Holy smokes! I asked you earlier, but I don't know if I saw the answer or not. But are you like up this early? Like, did you wake up, or have you yet to go to bed? I'm rather curious. Because I'll be honest with you. The other day when Bally Spring and um, there was another map that came out with Bally Spring that was not as intricate as Bally Springs, but it had a lot of things going on with it. I was up that night until 5 in the morning recording, editing, and doing everything I could to get those out as soon as I possibly could. It was a long night, and I work at 8 o'clock in the morning. So yeah, I ended up getting 3 hours of sleep that day, powering through the entirety of the day, and then you always get up at 4 in the morning. Ooh, you are a trooper. You are a trooper. Holy smokes! It's one of those that I tend to stay up later and then sleep in kind of thing, because especially now that I do the YouTube, um, it's one of those that this is the only time that I have available. But well, you are very welcome, Crimea River, and thank you as well. Um, yeah, it's like I said, it is an absolute pleasure to just sit here, and hang out with y'all, and just be able to get the work done that I have to get done that would normally would have happened in the background prior to doing the live streams. But now I get to kind of hang out with all you and just kind of share the experience, and show what it is that happens in the background. I'm trying to think, is there anything else I need to do? Oh, you know what? I need to check the animals before I get ready to go into the next day. Let's see. Alright, they have food, but I'll have to fill them up before I move into the next month. Not move into the next month, but we'll have to fill them up before I start doing anything else. Straw, food. Yeah, they're fine. Slurry. What about the manure? It's getting there. I'm going to have to take care of that. And then the sheep. What am I doing? I don't have to run around and see everything. What am I thinking? Oh, yeah, they're fine. I got to get more straw for them over there. They're fine. Chickens are fine. And sheep are fine. Beauty. But yeah, I think this will be a good spot to leave it. Got to... I got to figure out something to do with all this. But again, greatly appreciate y'all showing up, hanging out. Ryan, it was, thanks for waking up with us at 4 in the morning, hanging out. Really glad to see you back here, and hope to see you again. UK and USA, we stay together. Now USA helps us in wartime. Yep, that's it. That's it. Gotta stick with your allies, and one of those kind of ride together, die together kind of situations. I definitely think that's a definite. But like I said, I hope everybody has a fantastic day, night, depending on where you're at. And like I said, absolute blast hanging out with y'all. I hope everybody has a fantastic one, and take care.